Good morning, Washington, and all the ships at sea. How are you doing? Let's do some calisthenics this morning, shall we? Dave TV Calisthenics. I'm the new Jack LaLanne. How y'all doing, everybody? It's Dave TV for the 8th. The 8th of October, 2013. Okay, so today's interesting little tidbit. There's Don Geronimo's Twitter feed there, and his picture. That's a California license plate, and it says, "at a time." Now, Don Geronimo, I don't know what he did to his Twitter thing, but I can access it, I can just access it, the public version of it, but if I ever try to copy anything or retweet anything, it gives me an error message. So he's, evil genius that he is, he's somehow blocked me from doing any of that. So, I can just, as a non-subscriber, look at his site and Twitter thing and see what's going on. And he's posted a couple of cryptic little things since his demise from KHTK last Friday. We've gone into, if you want to see more about Don Geronimo and his history in Washington and Mike O'Meara and all that, just go to the Dave TV from the other day. What's it? The one I did on Saturday, because we went into the whole history, and I am not going to repeat it this morning. But again, it makes it sound like, okay, Don's heading east. So what's he going to do? Probably come back to Washington, right? That's where his base is. So I don't know. People are asking me, Dave, what's Don going to do when he gets back here? I think it all depends on CBS. Currently, he's under contract to CBS. So as long as he's under contract to CBS, CBS here in the Washington area owns a bunch of stations. They own JFK and WNEW and Fresh and PGC and Baltimore. They own, now I got it wrong. My last Dave TV, I said CBS owned QSR, which is the Jack Goldie station, and they used to own that, but a couple of years ago they sold it to Clear Channel. So correction noted there. So anyhow, but CBS does own a couple of stations in Baltimore, including a sports talker, WJZFM, and W Light. What do they call it? Light 102, or I don't know what they're calling it these days, but WLIF and Mix. They own the Mix station at Baltimore. So where would Jack Diamond Jr. go? Where would Don? I just get Don Geronimo and Jack Diamond mixed up in my brain. I don't know. They're so alike. Jack Diamond, of course, the longtime Knicks 107.3 dude who got bounced back in, what was that, April or so. He went down and got a new gig in Miami, knew some radio guys down there, so good for him. But so what's Don Geronimo going to do? Well, I think it all depends on whether Don remains under contract to CBS. I don't know where Don would go. Yeah, I go through my brain over and over again, and I really don't know where Don would go in CBS's little empire here in the Washington-Baltimore area. As I said, if CBS had an oldies station in this market, or in either market, and of course they don't, because Jack FM, which is the closest thing the Washington-Baltimore has to an oldies format, which is really not terribly oldies, but it's Clear Channel station. So if CBS owned that, I would say that would be a likely place for him to go, because it does have a good signal that covers a lot of the Washington area. But so anyhow, where would he come into Washington, the Washington market? CBS, well, no, I can't see them doing that either. I was saying CBS could take 1580 and maybe put an oldies station on that and put Don Geronimo in charge of that, but then they lose their CBS Sports Radio, and I know CBS wants them to carry that. You could have Don Geronimo on WNEW. I just can't see that, although I think it would be a brilliant move to put Don Geronimo doing mornings on WNEW on the news station. It just ain't going to happen. Could Don Geronimo to PGC? Not unless you change that station radically and made it more of an oldie station and got rid of the kind of the rap format, the rap urban format that's currently on it. I can't see CBS doing that. Putting Jack Jr., putting Don Geronimo on Fresh. The station is too young, skewing female for him. I don't know. Putting him back on JFK. Now, there's a possibility. Give him an evening show on WJFK. Put him on the weekends on WJFK, something like that. I mean, I don't know. You got Tony Kornheiser doing middays on WTEM ESPN 980. Maybe you could have, or late mornings. Maybe you could somehow put Don Geronimo in late mornings on WJFK. The Junkies could end at, say, 10 o'clock, and then you could put 2 hours of Don Geronimo on, kind of right up against Tony Kornheiser, and then he would start Holden and Danny at noon and run them to, say, 3, and then put, Arrington and Dukes on in the afternoons. I don't know, something like that. Or, in weirdness of all craziness, why not put Don Geronimo on afternoons with Chad Dukes? Pair the two of them. Chad Dukes is kind of like Geronimo Jr., hey, brilliant idea. Why not put return Don Geronimo to WJFK, put him in afternoons with Chad Dukes? I don't know. Now the other possibility is if Don Geronimo's contract with CBS were to end, okay, and he doesn't have a non-compete there, and they just cut him loose. Say, Don, you're free to go wherever you want. Where could you go? Don could go over to, ESPN 980, maybe Dan Snyder. Now, Dan Snyder could use a morning show talent there. I mean, Mike and Mike don't get any ratings here in Washington. But again, Dan Snyder is committed to carrying that ESPN show. So I don't know about that. It's kind of an interesting thing. You could put him in another time slot. I think that would be WTEM is going after male demos, and older guys maybe would like Don Geronimo. I don't know. The other interesting possibility is looking at the latest ratings. Hubbard's Federal News Radio at 1,500 didn't get much of a ratings. Now, in the last numbers, I mean, it just doesn't. Now, it does make some money for Hubbard, but it doesn't get any ratings. So here's the deal. Flip it to more of a talk format. 1,500. Flip it to more of a talk format and put somebody like Don Geronimo on in mornings. And then you could get Sean Hannity, because Sean Hannity is, getting kicked out of WMAL. So there you've got a morning show, Don Geronimo, an afternoon show, Sean Hannity, 2 pillars for the station. And then you have Jim Bohannon on in the late nights, and you already got a number of things to fill in there. And then move Federal News Radio maybe over only to the internet. Keep it as a stream, but just on the internet. And then take 1,500 and just make it some sports. Keep the sports lineup on there and even more sports, and maybe make it almost a sports hybrid, but put Don Geronimo on in the mornings and have Sean Hannity on in afternoons and fill it out that way. I think that would get some ratings for Hubbard and give them a solid second station in the Washington market. Pretty much all Hubbard is WTOP, which is a massive station. But anyhow, there you go. So those are some ideas, some possibilities that I would see if Geronimo came back to the Washington market, other than buying his own station and doing something with that, which, again, just seems like an interesting idea. Buy an AM or something like that, put a crazy guy talk format on it, and do your own thing. Are Don and Mike going to get back together? I don't know. It'd be nice if they did. That would be so effing cool. But, if there is some bad blood there and they don't want to do that, Don could always, he's got Rob Spiewak. Maybe he could get back into his fold. Buzz Burbank, he might be able to get back. Joe Ardinger's obviously there. So, he could assemble a good chunk of the old team. So, I don't know. We'll see. And anyhow, that's just the latest stuff. But judging from Don's posting there on Twitter, it looks increasingly like he's heading back or at least back to East Coast. He may go back to Ocean City and just kind of chill out over there and do something, or he may just start up an internet station. Who knows? Interesting now. One of the things that kept Sinclair able to own so many TV stations is because they always flew right below the radar there with their, Baltimore TV empire and a Baltimore-based TV empire. Now that they're buying Channel 7, all of a sudden, everybody's starting to look at Sinclair and all their crazy shell companies and lease deals and all this other stuff, and they're beginning to question whether Sinclair really maybe shouldn't be stopped. They're kind of violating the spirit, if not the actual technical merit of the federal communications ownership rules, that maybe the FCC needs to step in and say, Sinclair, you only, how many stations do you own? 100 and blah, blah, blah. How many stations does Sinclair own? They own something like 170 stations. How many? They own 162 television stations in 77 markets. Maybe now that they're on the radar now big time buying Channel 7 here in D.C. that, we're going to get some long-needed scrutiny of their operations there. But anyhow, it looks like they're taking over Channel 7 if that ever happens, and it probably will because the FCC is kind of lame these days, and I don't think they're going to stop it. But at least delayed it. So the folks that work for All Britain there at Channel 7, at least they'll get through the end of the year and into early 2014 with relative sanity intact. So there you go. All right, folks, that's Dave TV for this 8th of October, 2013. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to help support the site. Remember, about a good chunk of our operating revenue comes from your donations. We're an independent site. So click on the support linky dinky there at the top of DCR TV. Don't forget to also check out our politics pages, where Terry McAuliffe is getting a bigger lead over the evil, rotten Ken Cuccinelli, and also our local news pages where we link to a lot of cool local non-media news throughout the Washington, Baltimore area. All right, folks, thanks for Dave TV. Thank you, Dave TV. Thank you, me. Aloha, baby.